Hello, wrestling fans, and here I am with another review of a past WCW pay-per-view. As this time around, it's Spring Stampede, which took place April 19th, 1998, from Denver, Colorado. To me, 1998 was the last good year WCW had. The show begins with a singles match as we see Saturn, accompanied by Billy Kidman, who were representing Raven's Flock at the time. Saturn went one-on-one with Goldberg. Up until this point, Goldberg had been running through everybody in quick fashion, and I believe this was like the first real big test Goldberg had. But the early going, Goldberg hits a pump handle suplex, followed by a double underhook suplex. Saturn eventually gained the advantage after distraction from Kidman. He swept Goldberg's legs out from under him, jumped off the second rope with a twisting leg drop, hit a T-bone suplex. Eventually he jumped off the apron and Hurricane Rana Goldberg on the floor. He hit a top rope spin kick. Goldberg eventually hits the side slam, which of course was a finish of the late Dino Bravo. Goldberg hit a side kick. He eventually hit the spear. Billy Kidman distracts the referee while Saturn hits a low blow. Saturn puts the rings of Saturn submission hold on Goldberg, and Goldberg starts to get up. And as the hold is broken, Goldberg manages to, without dropping Saturn, he jackhammered him and pinned him to win the match. As I said, this was like Goldberg's biggest, because up until this match, nobody really gave Goldberg a tough time in a match. Second matchup, we see Chavo Guerrero Jr. accompanied the ring by the late Eddie Guerrero, his uncle, as Chavo was to face Ultimo Dragon one-on-one. Now, at some point, Chavo challenged Eddie to a match, and if Eddie won, Chavo was going to have to do Eddie's bidding. So he even made Chavo wear a t-shirt that said, "Eddie Guerrero is my favorite wrestler." Eventually, the early going of the match, Ultimo hit his flurry of kicks. Chavo used the ground attack to gain the advantage and even applied a Muda lock. Chavo hit a head scissors takeover, followed by a drop kick. Ultimo suplexed Chavo. Ultimo was on the apron. He suplexed Chavo out to the floor and then hit an Isai moonsault, which is Ultimo Dragon's actual last name. Chavo did eventually retaliate with a flip dive over the ropes onto the floor. Back in the ring, Ultimo hit an enziguri. Chavo caught Ultimo in midair with a drop kick, followed by a brainbuster. The end came when Chavo attempted a Dragon Sleeper and Ultimo encountered that. Chavo attempted the Tornado DDT, but Ultimo countered it with the Dragon Sleeper, and Chavo tapped out, much to the chagrin of his Uncle Eddie. Next, in another singles matchup, we see, with no time limit, Chris Benoit challenging Booker T for the World Television Championship. Booker hit his twisting arm into a martial arts kick. Benoit hit a snap suplex. He also hit a back suplex, followed by his diving headbutt off the top rope. Benoit hit 3 German suplexes, a top rope back suplex. Booker eventually hit a spine buster, followed by a flying forearm and a flapjack. Booker went for the axe kick, but I don't know if something really went wrong. Benoit pulled the referee in the way, which was the late Mickey J, and he took the axe kick. Benoit puts the crossface on Booker T, and it looked like Booker had passed out, but the referee was not there to see it. Booker gets up and he hits that jumping side kick. He actually jumped over the referee as well, hits the move, pins Benoit to retain the World Television Championship. Next up, we see a singles match as the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith, accompanied the ring by Jim the Anvil Neidhart, took on Kurt Hennig, accompanied by Ravishing Rick Rude. Now, it seemed like Hennig was feuding with Davey Neidhart and their brother-in-law Bret Hart around the same time. And what happened was the stipulation of this matchup was that Rude and Neidhart would be handcuffed to each other during the match. Kurt was sporting a brace on his leg, so I guess he wrestled hurt. Not that great of a matchup, honestly. A police officer comes out, and Neidhart's got him by the throat, but I could clearly see it was Vincent. And Rude eventually got the key from Vincent, unhandcuffed himself, and took his half of the handcuffs and attached it to the ring post. Kurt won by ramming Davey into the ring post, and he pinned him. And after the match, Rude, Henning, and I guess Vincent did a number on Davey while Neidhart was still cuffed to the post. And long after Rude, Henning, and Vincent left the ring, another referee came out with a key to unhandcuff Neidhart from the post. Next up was a match for the Cruiserweight Championship, as we saw Prince Iukea challenge Chris Jericho for the Cruiserweight Championship. Early on, Jericho failed to skin the cat as Iukea caught him with a drop kick. They did a flip off the apron onto the floor. The end came. Jericho really tried his best to make Iukea look good here, and honestly, folks, I was never a fan of Prince Iukea at any given time. Whether he was just Prince Iukea, the artist formerly known as Prince Iukea, or the artist, I was just never big on him. Sure, he was World Television Champion for a time in WCW, and he eventually was Cruiserweight Champion, but I was never really impressed with his work. But Iukea, a victim of Jericho's Lion Tamer, which was ultimately renamed the Walls of Jericho when he came to the WWE, and Jericho retained the Cruiserweight title. Next up was a tag team match, which was get to be Big Papa Pump, Scott Steiner, and Buff Bagwell taking on the Total Package, Lex Luger, and Rick Steiner, accompanied the ring by Ted DiBiase. Scott and Buff come out first, and Buff got his hand taped up, claiming his hand is broken, and they had a doctor in attendance. J.J. Dillon eventually came out, and the doctor's trying to check on that taped hand, and Buff grabs J.J. with the taped hand, basically giving himself away, and J.J. said, "Hey, there's nothing wrong with your hand, the match is on." The early going, Rick caught Buff with a power slam and a Steiner line on Bagwell. Rick was the face in peril in this match. He was taking a lot of punches from both Scott and Buff. The end came when Luger put Buff in the human torture rack, and funny thing was, Rick chased his brother from ringside, and Scott never came back to save Bagwell. So Rick Steiner and Lex Luger victorious in this tag team matchup. And what they said was a unannounced match for this show. We had Battle of Luchadors as La Parka, who, a.k.a. L.A. Park, went one-on-one with Psychosis. Psychosis hit like a jumping top rope Hurricane Rana. He did a suicide dive over the top rope to the floor. La Parka with a Sabu-like moonsault, which Sabu usually calls the Arabian Press. Psychosis with a Frankensteiner and a twisting dive to the floor. Psychosis countered a powerbomb into a Hurricane Rana, and the end came when Psychosis hit a guillotine leg drop off the top rope while La Parka had his legs caught in the ropes. Psychosis picked up the victory. Honestly, a lot of these luchadors from Mexico got wasted in WCW, including Psychosis. La Parka had a personality, but ring-wise, I was not impressed with his work ever. Then, in what was billed as a bat match, Kevin Nash and Hollywood Hogan take on the Giant and Roddy Piper. Initially, I think Hogan tried to climb the turnbuckle to get the belt, the bat, and Piper ripped off his workout belt, and both Piper and the Giant proceeded to whip Hogan with the workout belt. Hulk eventually low-blowed Piper. Nash and the Giant eventually butt heads. They even hit a double kick on each other. Piper hit a low kick on Nash, I believe. The Giant drop-kicked Nash to the floor. That may be the last time Giant had a drop-kick in WCW. I could be wrong. Piper and the Giant. Piper's climbing to get the bat while the Giant's right behind him. Piper gets it. Out comes the Disciple, we know is Brutus Beefcake. He brings another bat to the ring. I think the bat that Piper pulled out eventually fell out onto the floor. Hogan accidentally hit Nash with the bat. The Disciple stops Piper from grabbing a bat, tosses the other bat to Hogan. Hogan hits Piper with the bat and pins him, enabling Hogan and Nash to defeat Piper and the Giant in this matchup. After the match was over, Nash tried to give the Giant the jackknife, but Hogan deliberately hits Nash with the bat. Next up was a United States Championship match contested under Raven's rules, as Raven, who had possession of the U.S. Championship belt going into this match, challenged Diamond Dallas Page, who was officially the champion going into this match. Now, this feud kind of started out, I know it was a situation on Total Request Live where Raven attacked Dallas, gave him the even flow DDT, but it may have started sooner than that. They eventually went outside to the floor. Raven was thrown off the stagecoach, and then Page jumped off of it, landing on Raven. The Spring Stampede set, which looked like a ranch, was torn up. Raven grabbed the bull rope and he's choking Dallas with it. And I forgot who it was, but somebody had brought a kitchen sink with them. Page toehold Raven onto the sink. Sick Boy and many other members of the flock got involved. Sick Boy I think he had a crutch on him. Page used the sink on Hammer, who we know is Van Hammer. Billy Kidman jumps the ring, gets on Page's back, and Page pulls him off, gives him the diamond cutter. Reese jumped up on the apron. He got hit with the stop sign. Lodi, I don't think, got into the match. Eventually, someone dressed up as a ring crew member hits Page with the stop sign. Then Raven gives Page the even flow DDT on the kitchen sink, and Raven pinned Dallas to officially win the U.S. Championship. Turned out that ring crew member was none other than Horace Boulder, who was Hulk Hogan's nephew, and the following night on Nitro, I understand he was revealed as the newest member of the flock. Then it was time for the main event, as Macho Man Randy Savage, accompanied ring by Miss Elizabeth, challenged Sting for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. Savage attacks Sting before the bell. They brawl on to whatever's left of the Spring Stampede set. Sting, I think he tried for the Stinger. I don't know if he tried for the Stinger Splash, but he ended up hitting the railing. Sting hit a suplex on the floor. Sting stopped himself from Stinger splashing the referee in the corner that Savage pulled in the way. Savage clotheslined Sting, who bumps into the referee. Savage gives Sting a pile driver, but Sting gets up like nothing. Elizabeth uses a chair on Sting. Sting doesn't sell that either. Elizabeth eventually took a Stinger splash. I don't know if that was Savage pulled her in the way or not. Hulk Hogan comes out. He pushes Savage off the top rope as he was going to give Sting the elbow drop. Sting hits the Scorpion Death Drop on Savage. Still no referee. Kevin Nash comes out. Jackknife powerbomb Sting. Puts Savage on top, enabling Savage to win the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. And the pay-per-view ended with Hogan and the Disciple come out, and Hogan say, "What's Nash doing? He wasn't supposed to do that." And as that was pretty much where I guess the seeds were planted for the NWO Civil War, as Savage and Nash eventually started up the NWO Wolfpack. This was I found it to be a very good show. I hadn't watched it and had not seen this show in ages, seemingly. Thing is, Savage actually wrestled this match hurt. He got injured like less than a month before this, and I guess the reason they decided to put the belt on Savage was, I guess they figured, well, everybody knows he's hurt. Most people thought he wasn't going to be able to wrestle. And, of course, the reign didn't last because the following night on Nitro, Hulk Hogan won the WCW World title from Savage thanks to Bret the Hitman Hart, of all people, who joined the New World Order. But, definitely that was a fun time to be a pro wrestling fan in 1998. I mean, almost everybody was cooking, as shall we say. So let me know what you think of this, folks. The next review I will have will be a past ECW pay-per-view.